I have with me Mr. J. Mukund, who is the Head of Investor Relations of Raymond Limited. Without taking further time, I would like to hand over the call to Mr. Mukund. Over to Mukund.
Thank you, Abhijit. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for 1Q FY21 earnings conference call. I hope all of you would have received a copy of our results presentation. I would like to urge you to go through this along with the disclaimer slides. Today we have with us Mr. Amit Agarwal, Group CFO, Mr. Vipin Agarwal, President Corporate, Mr. Ganesh Kumar, Chief Operating Officer, Lifestyle Business, Mr. Suman Saha, Chief Operating Officer, Branded Apparel Business, Mr. K. Mukundraj, CEO, Real Estate Business. I will now hand over the call to our Group CFO, Amit, who will give you the summary of the results before we open up for Q&A. Over to you, Amit.
Thank you, Mukund. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. These are testing times, and I hope you and your near and dear ones are safe. Thank you for joining us today on this earnings call to discuss our results of first quarter of fiscal 21. In the first quarter of fiscal 21, COVID-19 pandemic posed unprecedented challenges which impacted both domestic and global economies. In India, it led to a series of nationwide lockdowns which resulted in markets being closed, severe restrictions in movement, muted celebrations or limited gatherings, and postponement of summer wedding season. We all witnessed and accepted new norms of working while staying at home. However, with the lockdown 3.0 and subsequent unlocks, various cities across various states started taking progressive steps to reignite the economy, and normal channels of trade, including retail outlets, started opening up. The government also came up with a huge stimulus package under Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, which primarily focused on a self-reliant and self-sufficient India. A slew of measures under this package, coupled with anticipation of good agriculture harvest, is expected to give us impetus to consumer spending. Now let me talk about the Raymond, which we undertook various steps and focused on the major points. First, health and safety measures for all our customers and employees is important for us. The well-being of our stakeholders is core to us, and we set up processes to regularly sanitize and disinfect plants and offices, compulsory health checkups at all locations, enabling our people to work from home. From customers' perspective, utmost priority has been given, and we created safe shopping experience. As on 30th June, our 80% of the stores, that is 1332 stores, had opened, complying to stringent safety guidelines and with contactless payments. Second, active engagement with our channel partners, franchisees, LFS partners, and MBO partners. Steps were undertaken not only for collections but also extended support, including credit extensions to our channel partners who have been with us for decades and are part of larger Raymond family. In terms of cost optimization, in spite of the severe impact of pandemic, we took upon ourselves and challenged every single line item of cost and questioned the need for incurrence of such cost. This enabled us to restructure organization and to further improve efficiency and overall productivity on an ongoing basis. We have undertaken cost rationalization, various cost control measures related to sales and marketing, manpower, rental, and others. As far as the store rental goes, we adopted a collaborative approach with landlords, mainly through combination of rent waivers during lockdown as well as realigning the rental. For the full year, the rental cost savings confirmed so far have been close to 48 crores. In the profit and loss statement of the first quarter of fiscal 21, savings of 17 crores has been reflected in other income in line with the India's accounting standards. The manpower cost was also reduced through graded salary cuts and rationalization. In the first quarter of fiscal 21, the cost was at 171 crore, lower by 27% over the fourth quarter fiscal 20. We have rationalized outsourcing costs, administrative overhead, and reduced discretionary spends, including advertisements and sales promotion. All of the above aforesaid efforts has led to achieving an operating cost at 275 crores, lower by 50% on quarter-on-quarter basis from a 551 crores in the fourth quarter of fiscal 20 and lower by 44% on a year-on-year basis against 494 crores in the first quarter of fiscal 20. With these cost reduction initiatives, we expect to reduce full year OPEX close to 30 to 33% compared to the fiscal FY20. In terms of conserving cash and managing liquidity, the company has undertaken various requisite measures to manage liquidity, including cost reduction and working capital management. Also, with prudent cash management, we have been able to be positive free cash flow and operating cash flow during the quarter. Our operating cash flows was 121 crores and free cash flow was 63 crores. Reduction of net working capital by 305 crores was driven primarily due to collections of our receivables. CapEx reduction as well as deferment of store openings, renovations and technology upgrade has been implemented. With these efforts, we have been able to maintain June end liquidity similar to March levels. Our net debt stood at 1,827 crores, lower versus March 20 net debt of 1,859 crores. Our gross debt was also a shade lower at 2,423 crores vis-a-vis 2,430 crores as at end of March 20. The average interest cost was marginally higher at 8.68% as compared to 8.57% in March 20. Our focus has been also on enhancing our digital capabilities. Let me talk about the omni-channel, integrating our online and offline offerings with the entire EBO offerings available online, revamped our own website and launched myraymond.com. We took care to the customer. We have taken the store to the customer for virtual shopping through Raymond Home Assist. We introduced a slew of digital interventions such as sales pitch through video call, tailoring subscription program, store reopening communications, virtual tools for ease in shopping as well as other facilities. We have moved from physical trade shows to digital platforms, introduced digital swatch books, catalogs, flip books in branded textile and branded apparel segments. Now, we have also leveraged our capabilities and took go-to-market initiatives as we repurposed our garment factory to manufacture PPE products for the garment, hospitals and the corporate sectors. Our FMCG team was swift in identifying the need in the market for high-quality products in sanitizing and hygiene category and developed FMCG products such as hand cleansers, hand wash, high alcohol content cologne and floor cleaners and utilized our channel of distribution to achieve decent level of sales. Now let me talk about the quarterly financial performance. As we all are fully aware that Raymond has seamlessly transitioned to an Ind AS with effect from 1st April 2019. Now for ease of reference and comparison, consolidated and segment numbers for current year as well as previous years have been presented on post-Ind AS 116 basis. Our consolidated financials for the quarter is revenue stood at 222 crores with an EBITDA loss of 167 crores and resulting in a net loss of 242 crores. As per the Ind AS accounting, revenue and EBITDA include 17.4 crores on account of rent concessions recognized as other income on the basis of the MCA notification dated 24 July 2020. On Raymond standalone financials for the quarter reflected a revenue of 68 crores with an EBITDA loss of 92 crores, thereby a net loss of 119 crores. Now let me talk about our various segments. In terms of branded textile, as we are very well present across 630 cities through the 20,000 point of sale with adequate inventory available across our channel partners, which caters to practically every segment of the society. However, lockdown and related closure of markets and stores impacted our sales. Both primary and secondary sales were impacted due to these lockdowns, as still large buying in this segment is done through the brick and mortar trade. The wholesale channel, which was our key primary channel, was completely closed as the whole logistics was not operational during the lockdown phase. The retail channel was practically not open, and also with restrictions on weddings and celebrations, sales were severely impacted. In terms of our branded apparel, our segment, the retail channel's EBO store network, which has more or less equal presence in malls and high street stores, were regulated by local lockdowns, and most LFS counters, which are mostly present in malls, were not operational as well during the quarter. Our primary sales to trade partners were impacted as they were carrying adequate inventory. However, as due to lockdown and related closure of markets and point of sales, that is retail outlets, limited secondary sales also happened. Overall, there was limited sales through our EBO network due to lockdown, supported by sales through online and LFS network. However, the reported sales is net of returns and credit notes, which is in the normal course of business. In terms of our garmenting segment, we have reported a net sales of 100 crores, led by significant contribution of over 50 crores from PPE, which we have been manufacturing and supplying to various government agencies, hospitals, corporates. Let me talk about the engineering business, where our tools and hardware segment, the production resumed from May onwards, and to mainly cater the service, the pending orders. About 50% of the revenue was from exports, mainly to LATAM and Africa. In auto component segment, the production resumed in May to service pending orders, mainly to service export orders in Europe. As far as our real estate business is concerned, we were swiftly able to transfer bookings from offline to online through virtual tour launches, received 13 bookings during the quarter, resulting in a total of 963 bookings till June 2020. That is over 60% of our total inventory is booked in the 6 towers launched, having 1,530 units with a booking value of close to 970 crores. As per the phased relaxation and the post-government allowed construction work, the company initiated pre-monsoon preparedness activity at the site. Let me update you about the demerger. Demerger has been an important step towards value creation for the group. We have received approval from stock exchanges and already filed application with NCLT. However, as the entire process requires regulatory approval, which has been delayed due to closure of offices and government departments resulting from COVID-19 related lockdown. As and when we have a meaningful update, we will inform accordingly. Now let me talk about the current status as we see of our operations. In terms of our retail network, we are happy to note that 95% of our entire store network, ranging from the TRS and EBOs, are currently operational, which we are adhering very strict norms in terms of the COVID-19 related guidelines, both for our employees as well as for customers. Also, our TRS network, which is very unique channel, spread across 630 towns and cities, and their sales provide us key insights and is a true consumer pulse barometer for us. The sales are back to 50% of previous year levels in TRS network, driven by better recovery in the tier 3 to 6 markets. Lower tier markets, tier 3 to tier 6 cities, have shown a better recovery as rural economy indicatively has been doing better than an urban economy in the last quarter or in the current quarter as well. It is the second consecutive year of strong agriculture output driven by good rain increase in Manrega enrollments from migrant laborers, indicators such as uptick in demand in the auto sector, and lower lockdowns due to lower COVID-19 impact in rural areas. With the onset of festive season coupled with winter wedding season, we expect an improvement in the demand for our products in the second half of this fiscal. Especially in the branded textile segment, with current inventory levels, and also our plants have resumed operations in order to meet both domestic and export demands. In branded apparel segment, our homegrown brands have a good mix of formal and casual wear catering to the large consumer demand. Our EBO network, with 95% of the stores being operational, are currently achieving 30 to 35% sales compared to the previous year levels. We are witnessing a good pickup from our loyalty members, which has a base of 8.2 million members coming back and doing higher ticket purchases. There has been an increase in average member spent along with the increase in the average transaction value as well. We expect the customer initiatives such as tailoring subscription program, garment exchange program, which has witnessed good response from customers post Pan-India launch in TRS network and enhanced omni-channel capabilities to help in driving sales. We have also recently launched an antiviral technology-based fabric called Vera Safe, which protects against bacteria and virus and is also anti-odor and sustainable. Let me talk about the exports, which is also a key segment for us, and how the markets are behaving. Global demand is recovering, especially Europe market has opened up. Also, as the clamor for the global manufacturing supply chain to move away from China is getting louder by the day, this is an opportune moment for India to emerge stronger as it seizes the opportunity to become the preferred manufacturing destination. We have witnessed some of our large B2B customers indicating and evaluating shift in supply chain from China, and we becoming sort of natural choice to them. We see a good development in our tools and hardware and auto component business from this perspective as well. Our tools and hardware business has recovered well both in the domestic and international markets and clocking revenues to the tune of 95% compared to the previous year levels. In our auto components business, as the auto sector is reviving, the business is also operating around the 90% level compared to the previous year, led by primarily by the domestic demand. In the garmenting business, despite certain European and US retailers faced bankruptcy, our garmenting orders are not getting much impacted as our B2B customers business is operational, and being there, we as a preferred partner, we expect business continuity with them. The bulk and MTM orders for US, Japan and UK markets are gradually increasing. We expect to receive further orders on PPE for our India operations. We are also producing PPE, coverall and gown products in Ethiopia to the Ethiopian government and local hospitals. In terms of the real estate, to address the constraints caused by the lockdown pandemic, real estate business was quick to adapt digital enablers, and since June 2020, we have been offering virtual product walkthrough to our potential customers. The team has worked on strategies which include launch of developer bank subvention scheme to improve sales. In terms of construction, the 7th floor slab is in progress for tower A, B and C, while plinth is in the progress to the tower D. Construction work is picking up and we will further progress as well when the migrant labor is returning back to normalcy. In terms of liquidity, with the sales expected to improve in the second half of this fiscal festive season coupled with winter wedding season, cost optimization measures already undertaken, which is expected to reduce our cost by 30 to 33% on a full year basis. Our focused approach on working capital management and lower capex, we expect to maintain adequate liquidity in the system. I reiterate, our utmost priority remains health and safety of our customers and employees, liquidity management, and cost optimization in the current post-COVID-19 scenario. We are laying a strong foundation in the current year to reap the benefits in the coming years. It is our passion for excellence that has propelled us to navigate numerous storms in our 95-year-old history. We are once again geared up to maneuver through the tough times with our renewed agility and our core strengths of manufacturing excellence, deep network penetration, strong channel partnerships, and strong brand recall. Thank you very much. Now we will be taking the questions.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin with the question and answer session. Anyone wishing to ask a question may please press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Participants, if you wish to ask a question, you may please press star and 1. The first question is from the line of Vivek Joshi, an investor. Please go ahead.
Hi. I just I have two questions. Can you just give me some color on the real estate business? I could not find much information. And second is regarding the demerger, there are some AGMs, the shareholder meetings to happen on the 18th of September via the court order. So have the notices for that been sent, or is the process on schedule, or has that been delayed?
No, on the demerger first, let me respond. I don't think that there is any plan of the AGM because we are waiting for certain approvals from the regulatory authorities, and upon receipt of such information and approvals, only we can progress. So I don't know from where there is a confusion. There might be some confusion around the 18th of September AGM. As far as real estate concerned, my colleague Mukund Raj is there. So I'll ask Mukund. Mukund, why don't you take up and give a brief synopsis on the real estate business?
Yeah, hi Vivek. Real estate, as you heard Amit in his opening statement, because our experience center was closed till close to mid-June, we started a digital contact with prospective customers, and we were doing a complete walkthrough on a virtual mode and having e-meetings with the customers and trying to sell. Quite a lot of developers had migrated to this new way of doing business, and we were very, very quick to adopt, and we did that. And till the quarter end, we did about 13 bookings and reached a cumulative figure of about 963 units sale, close to about 970 crores of sales value. And the total inventory is about 1,530, so is about 60% of the inventory is already sold out. And subsequent to the quarter, things are looking better. 2-3 positives which have happened. One is we were one of the very few developers, I believe there are just a couple of them, who have been given a bank subvention scheme. Otherwise, as per RBI's regulation, banks had stopped subvention scheme for most developers. So we were able to get it from ICICI Bank, an approval, which happened towards the first week of August. And we have a 2-year subvention scheme, which is going to be a very useful tool during these times when prospective customers have challenges of cash flows, pay cuts, and business uncertainties and all that.
Okay.
And second, the stamp duty reduction which happened, the 3% reduction in the stamp duty, this definitely will be used by the serious home buyers who are actually waiting for an opportunity. I think this is a good one because they save about 2 to 2.5, 3 lakhs of saving would be direct saving in whatever outgo. So we are seeing all these serious home buyers coming towards us. And in the last 1.5 months of this particular quarter, 2.5 months of the quarter, things are looking better. Definitely, walk-ins to the experience center have increased. People have started coming out of the home. Though home is a very discretionary product, we are still seeing some interest coming in, both due to the stamp duty, whatever we have a subvention. Third, even the bank interest rates are on a low, home loan rates. So all these three are propelling some amount of a demand and interest. Things are looking better, and I think by the time we get into the festive season, a month from now, I think things should improve further. Construction has picked up a good pace. June we started with just about 40-45 labor, because you are aware the migrant labor had all gone back to their villages and towns, but they started coming back. We had to put in a lot of effort to bring the labor back, and now from a strength of 40, we have reached close to 500 labor strength now. Labor is strength. Construction is picked up, and we are at the 7th floor. In fact, we are completing the 7th floor today. So it's picked up pace. I think next month we should see the construction moving at a much brisker pace. So on both the fronts, we have done well. Collection, slight challenges because of the customers, again, job losses, pay cuts. But still, I think we have done pretty well with respect to collections. We have been able to collect substantial amount of money from our customers. So that's the position, Vivek. If anything specific beyond this you would like to know, just let me know.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just a small follow-up on the demerger. This is the NCLT order of the 6th of July 2020.
Yeah. So basically what happens is, in this, there are certain COVID-related issues. Because of that, the meeting has been clearly postponed, and there are certain regulatory hurdles to be cleared. And that is why we are saying that once the COVID-19 impact gets solved and regulatory approvals are available, then we will have the meeting and follow through the process.
So basically, this order has become contingent on some approvals. That's what I'm saying. So,
yes.
So this is with the NCLT or SEBI? Like, which approval are you waiting for right now?
NCLT.
So some further orders are needed, despite these orders?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So is it regarded to COVID or like general? Like, because in this order there's nothing, because there was nothing contingent in this order.
Because of the COVID, there are certain delays which needs to be completed.
Okay, so this order has like been pushed back because of COVID, basically.
Yes.
So basically you'll send a notice, everything will happen in that order, right?
Yes. We will obviously do the process.
What is the timeline? Any update on, like, this 18th September is now expected when, like?
We will come back to you based on what is the latest information available.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question. That is on the line of Abhishek Jain from VP Wealth. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. Actually, I have two questions. First question is on Ethiopia business. If you can throw some light on this, how the things are moving on. I have joined late, so if you have made any opening statement, so I'm extremely sorry. Second question, you're talking about job losses, and so are you facing some kind of cancellation because of this?
Okay. As far as Ethiopia is concerned, as I mentioned very clearly, we are working well with the garmenting business, which we use the Ethiopia facility, as well as got a decent PPE order, so that we are supplying to the local Ethiopian authorities, the hospitals there. So we are working our way in the Ethiopia facility, mainly at this juncture, to supply to one customer in the US, as well as for the PPE supply. As far as the job losses is concerned, if you look at it, at this juncture, the economy is opening up, and we see very clearly, because of the festive demand coming up, we look at that demand recovery is going to happen. And the products of our Raymond has been widely distributed across the country with our 20,000 point of sale. So people will come back in terms of the festive seasons and the wedding seasons to come and pick up our products.
Okay, one more question, sir. Just a follow-up question on the same. Sir, how's on the rural how's the rural sentiment right now when you do the channel checks, and especially in the tier 3, tier 4? And when you're talking, second question, when you're talking to your US-based clients or maybe Europe-based clients, how you see what percentage of utilization you are seeing right now vis-a-vis YOY basis right now? Is there any pent-up demand you are seeing right now?
You want me to answer?
In terms of the rural demand, you see very clearly because of the good agriculture harvest which we have seen and back-to-back good monsoon has helped us to really come back strongly on the rural demand. In some of the tier 4 to tier 6 cities, even we have seen the demand picking up to the level of 75 to 80% vis-a-vis the pre-COVID scenario. So very good demand picking up in that segment. Now, I will ask Ganesh to respond on the US and the EU markets in terms of how the demand is picking up.
Okay. So as we all know, US market, a lot of retailers have gone through Chapter 11 process, which is whether it is JCPenney, whether it is Taylor Brands, etc. But what we are also seeing is post the Chapter 11 processes being adapted, there is also a demand which is coming up. In fact, if I may use the example of our made-to-measure, which we exclusively supply to Taylor Brands through their men's warehouse outlets, retail outlets, we are seeing improvement in the demand. We have already up to about 350 to 400 suits a day, which is about 40-45% of the peak that we have done of our capacity. Similarly, we are also seeing certain demand which is coming up from the European suppliers and the Japanese suppliers. In fact, the Japanese customers have also started raising the demand with every passing week, and we are looking at business coming back. And what has also happened is that we have worked with a couple of the suppliers, and during this last 8 to 10 months period, we have been selected as one of their preferred strategic partners to supply the garmenting operations. That has enabled us to actually recover from some of the losses that we have seen out of the COVID situation. But how is the economy going? Everybody is trying to look at the recovery in a phased manner. What we see is, come December, there is also the Christmas and the New Year period where there could be some pent-up demand which will push us to make operate our plants on increased capacities. Thank you.
Sir, just last follow-up question. How right now we have seen second wave of COVID-related wave in Europe. So do you see any slowdown again coming up after the pickup? Second question, this question is fine. Right now, it's if something else is there, I'll let you know.
Okay. See, the second wave of COVID is basically coming across different parts of the world, but I think my view and the way what we are seeing from our customers is the government and the countries are better equipped to handle the second wave as compared to what they were when the first wave came in. So there could be a marginal temporary setbacks, but I think the demand would continue to go. Anyway, the demand levels have gone down so much that it is only has a upward movement as from here now.
And are you getting benefited from anti-China sentiment from globally right now? Are you talking to you have any discussion with Japanese or maybe US-based suppliers? They want to have that second supply.
So to answer to this question, we have identified about 18 partners around the world, and we are working closely with them. In fact, in the fashion space, there is a process which follows. Once we agree to partner, then we have to work on build a collection, submit the samples. They go through their own evaluation, and then comes the sample order and then the main order. So discussions have already been started with about 18 partners around the world, and we are hopeful that we will crack some opportunities with a few of them.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Umang Shah from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. First of all, kudos to your understanding of the business in such short span of time. But sir, I have one basic question. So now that things are opening up, we are back to 85% of store levels opening up. what is our strategy going ahead to bring back the customers which are not shopping right now or who have started shopping, but how do we attract them? What are we looking at?
So, no, thanks, Sumant. Actually, if you look at it, what I mentioned was 95% of our stores are open. And look, the fundamental behind this is that our stores are so uniquely positioned across the country that people who want to buy a product will step up into a store. And I'll also give you an example that the kind of brand recall which we enjoy, practically it has become a household name in the country. If you want to make a wedding wear, it has to be a family out of Raymond which you would end up buying. So there were very clearly, even if somebody wants to pick up, previously one would go and pick up 4 shirts. Today maybe because of the income and everything, maybe he will go out and pick up 1 shirt or 2 shirts. And then he will choose to buy a particular branded product. And we are right there. You know, we are a typical India created homegrown brand. This is very, very phenomenal success with an unparalleled network which we have created. You want to add something?
Yeah. Further, this is Ganesh here. Just to add a few things. Your question is very apt. What do we do to either rebuild the confidence of the customer, or how do we take the shop to the customer? So we have a series of programs that we operate in terms of, we have something called as virtual shopping, which we offer to our CRM network customers, where we actually enable the customer to go through the shop, the products, etc., through a video call, and then if necessary, the concierge service follows up with taking some of the garments to the customers and then signing a deal. In fact, we did a deal yesterday in one of the market where a customer wanted to do a certain set of formal fabrics collection to be converted into suits, and a single order of about, I think about 5 lakh rupees was something that we operated. Second, we also had, we are doing something called as a garment exchange program, which is in collaboration with Goonj that we are operating. What we are trying to tell is that as a society, while some of us may be privileged to be able to afford new garments, etc., there is also a section of society in this period of time to whom we can take care of. So that is where the garment exchange program comes. We collect the garments, sterilize it, sanitize it, and then we pack it and distribute it through Goonj. Then we also have our online channel, which is myraymond.com, which I will urge each one of you to visit. It is a very interesting channel which is curated from the demands of the consumers at this point in time, and we have made it relevant to what we need, whether it is a work from home collection, or whether it is a Zoom party collection, or whether it is a loungewear collection, so that we can remain relevant to them, and we ship it through our partners. We have collaborations with a few partners who help us in the logistics services. So these are a few examples of what we are doing. There are many more that we continue to operate on.
So, sir, just to a question over here. So, in August, I'm presuming that our garment exchange program had started, 15th August, if I remember right.
Right.
Post that, what is the traction that you're looking at? So, I'm sure that you would be looking at your sales daily. So, in August versus last year August, what would have been the difference? And for the upcoming season, that is maybe we can say marriage season or festive season, how are we planning to, up our game? Because we already have lost one season because of lockdown.
Exactly.
And we would have an inventory lying for that. On top of it, we would be looking at another set of inventory for the upcoming season. So how are we planning to manage this? And if you can just give some color over there.
Sure. So if we look at our August performance of the TRS stores, and because our TRS Raymond shop basically operates both the fabric and the garment together, we were somewhere at about 45% of 45 to 47% on an average of the previous year's August sale. Okay. But if you look at our exclusive outlets, which are mostly still located in malls, there we are at about 30 to 35%. Okay. Now, after the garment exchange program, what we are also seeing is we are seeing a big pickup, because in exchange of the garment, what we are offering is free tailoring service for a set of garment for them, and we are seeing an uptick which is happening. An interesting phenomena, and it is still to be tested post Sharad, is that during Sharad typically we look at sales numbers going down as compared to August average. That was our expectation. But the daily sales average actually has stood the ground and the test of times, and we are actually continuing with the same pre-Sharad average as well. So the hope is that the moment Sharad gets over, we have festive seasons coming across the country, there should be a positive uptake and the sentiments will help us to improve the sales. On your inventory side, what we are very clearly looking at is, while we have various inventories, there is also a portion of inventory which is not exposed to the consumer. Those are the inventories which are fresh inventories which will go along with our existing lots, and we will capture the demand.
Okay. All right. And so, just sorry, one more last thing. So we are looking at, we are talking about tier 4 to tier 3 to tier 6 looking good. The revenue structure from there or the sales from that portion of society is looking good. But historically, what has been the percentage to the overall revenue from tier 3 to tier 6?
Yeah, you are absolutely right. In fact, tier 3 to tier 6, while it is a smaller segment of the business, about 30-35% of the overall revenue as compared to tier 1 to 3. However, in this period during the COVID times, while tier 1 to 3 were going through challenges of erratic lockdowns and demand not coming up, tier 3 to 6 were operating at a much better level. Having said that, the way I am looking at the first 2 weeks of September, we are also seeing demand coming back in the tier 1 to 3 town as well. The rate of recovery is smaller. For example, tier 3 to 6, if it is at 70 to 80, 85%, the tier 1 to 3 is today clocking at about 40 to 50, 55%.
Okay.
That's the difference.
So in remaining 9 months, we are looking at a...
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Shah.
So it's just a follow-up, just one last follow-up. So for the remaining 9 months, we are looking at, on an average, maybe close to 80% of our last year, sales comparatively, based on just 2 months of, just 2 months, August and September data.
No, so look, it is very difficult for us at this juncture to predict. As you rightly pointed out, that some of the European countries have seen a little bit of a second wave coming in. We don't anticipate that we would get faced any of this, possibly not. But at this juncture, it is little too premature, because what we are looking is anticipating a decent festive season followed by good wedding season. So I think based on that, we would be more appropriate maybe end of third quarter to talk about how we see that the demand recovery is happening in which shape and form. At this juncture, I think I have to leave it that only.
Perfect.
It would be very difficult for me to put a number to that.
Sure, sir. I was just trying to look at one particular direction, that's it. But no, thank you for...
Direction is upward, that for sure you can take it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of A.S. Harish from Genius Investment Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I have 2 questions. First question is, when is the book closure date for issuing Raymond Limited Lifestyle Limited shares to the existing shareholders of Raymond Limited? And the second question is, the market cap of Raymond is around just 2,000 crore, and I can't believe this for a company with a very good brand and with 95 years of existence. So what is the strategy of the management to improve the shareholder value?
Look, in terms of very clearly the shareholder value, we strongly believe the inherent core value of this business. You look at it, the kind of asset which this company has is phenomenal. In terms of, you saw the demonstration that the land bank which this company has is exceptionally in the most prominent area in the city of Thane. And we did a 20-acre sale which fetched us 700 crores, and we are still sitting with 80 acres clean and a 20-acre development which is happening as we speak today. Number two, if you look at it, the main lifestyle core business is a very strong brand, as you rightly pointed out, and the effort for our side is to demonstrate the performance on a go-forward basis, because at this juncture, you are a company which is a typical branded retail textile company. So one has seen the impact of the COVID significantly for this sector. Nobody can deny it. You and me have not gone out for shopping any of the products during the first quarter. That's the reality of life. Are we going to sit all our life sitting at home? Answer is also no. So therefore it is very clear that we will come out, we will start having the shopping, we will engage ourselves into buying of products. So therefore I see very clearly that there is a strong fundamental of this company. It is our job in order to reflect upon what we are capable of doing it, how we have delivered, and we have been delivering it for so many years. So we will re-demonstrate, and you know, when the demonstration has been there, we have got a good understanding from the investor side as well. And this is what I can tell you from our perspective. That is our core job, to say, bring the strength of the business clearly and demonstrate with the operating and financial performance.
What about the book closure date for issuing Raymond Lifestyle Limited shares?
No, so as far as the demerger has not happened so far, so there is no book closure date for issuing the shares under the Raymond Lifestyle Limited.
It is yet to be announced. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Siddharth Mota from Principal India. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon to you, sir. Sir, I joined this call a bit late, so pardon me for my repetition. So first question is on our operating costs, which we have reduced in quarter one versus quarter four as well as last year same quarter, and it is around 44 and 50%. You have given the three heading in your presentation: employment cost, advertisement, and others. So what can be a structural reduction or the permanent reduction that we can build in as far as operation cost reduction it is concerned? That is my question number one, sir.
Sure. No, look, as I mentioned, very clearly the OPEX cost is something which we went through like a razor sharp focus and said we have identified every single line item. We will reduce the cost. Whether it is really required, can we do without it? And obviously first quarter, when you have such a low revenue, some of the direct variable cost which sits in the OPEX cost is also not there. So a portion of this we have already given a clear understanding to all of you. We expect in this year, fiscal 21 to fiscal 20, a reduction of 30 to 33% of OPEX cost reduction. Very clearly, we see that this 30 to 33% from a year-to-year basis, based on a lower volume which we have seen in the quarter and a gradual recovery in the second and the third quarter and the fourth quarter, reflects about the direct variable cost sitting in the OPEX will be also lower. So on a go-forward basis, we believe a significant portion of this saving we will be able to sustain as a permanent saving.
Okay. So you are saying that even one has to fast forward to might be 22, 23, when the situation will become more normal, a large portion of that cost, it would be a structural cost saving.
Yes. Major portion would continue to be a structural cost saving, because we have gone through in depth. You know, there are certain rationalizations which has been done. So this is going to stay with us for some period of time.
Okay. Correct. Sir, I know, sir, it is still, it can be a bit difficult to answer, sir, but one can assume, sir, in between like 70 to 80 crore of a range, which is more of a structural cost reduction. I do understand that this particular range we can keep on revising as and when it goes, but as of now, that number looks quite reasonable, which is more of a structural reduction in the cost.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So today, as I mentioned, 30 to 33% is a reduction in this year. Some part of it is variable, which will correct itself based on the volume changes. But some of the structural changes which we have done in terms of the level of rentals, in terms of what called advertisement, some of the sales promotions, like we have moved to a digital way of doing a trade show vis-a-vis physical trade shows, which used to cost money. So some of these fundamental changes are there which will enable us to continue to have the cost savings continuing for a long period of time.
Correct. Sir, my second question is on this other segment, which is non-scheduled airlines and your associate company. Sir, year after year, both this segment will continue to show loss. So is there any specific reason why we are holding to those two segments?
So look, it is a small business, and it is not right to say if some business has not done well, you just exit. There are some core things that you continue to do. You have participated into this. You continue to participate. And at the end of the day, you just cannot say, I will exit if the business is not doing this. So you continue to operate. Maybe at some point of time, final call. And I'll tell you, in terms of the denim business, we know very well that denim has been a capacity. There has been an overcapacity. But some of the successful players who have been in the business, we know very well the value of this business. And at some point of time, it will get corrected. It's a market. So capacities go up, supplies go up, the demand is weaker, but at some point the correction happens. So we think that it cannot be taken as a very short-term vision to say that the denim may be not doing so well, but at some point of time we see a recovery back into this business.
So my final question is on this MBO. If I have to just step back and see what has happened in quarter 3 and quarter 4, where we have taken a large corrective steps and which has impacted our EBITDA. But if I have to just see your 17, 18, 19 number, where Raymond was growing very fast in the MBO segment, and suddenly everything it got collapsed in couple of quarters. So it's very hard to understand that what went wrong, and in terms of write-off, whether it is revenue or it is EBITDA, it is quite large. And in the last 10 years, sir, our branded apparel, sir, we are simply struggling. Every year, sir, we are trying to just say that we are having 3 years goals, 5-year goals, but nothing is happening. It looks like, sir, our auto and the tool, it is more consistent and it is delivering a healthy EBITDA rather than branded apparel. So what are the steps, sir, that we are taking to rectify this branded apparel, or whether in short term and in long term, leave aside this FY21, sir. Is there any goal for us, or we are still just struggling or finding what to do, what not to do in case of branded apparel?
Look, I'll tell you very simple. The businesses which we have, fundamentally, we have created these businesses, these brands, right from, these are our Indian-owned brands, the likes of the Park Avenue, Color Plus, Parks, and so on and so forth. We clearly have a strategy, and certain businesses do go ups and downs, and we have seen there has been a growth, consistent growth in the revenue in the past few years. We have seen a dip because it was also a weaker economy which had come in the last year. That has led. Now, I will also ask Suman to give a brief perspective how we are changing, really remodeling this entire business, and how do we look forward. Suman, why don't you give your...
Yes, sir, meanwhile, if you can also quantify or give us a milestone that what we are looking in might be in 22 or might be in 24, so that it become little easier for some sort of a quantification.
So I'll tell you one thing very simple. At this juncture, any quantification would not be appropriate from our side, because first of all, you are not considering in a normal situation. You are coming out of a very difficult, unprecedented time. Therefore, for us to give any number may not be appropriate at this juncture. It will be a high-level view that we are taking how to move forward this business. But on a go-forward basis, let's say in the 6 months from now, we will outline exactly the way we will have with number crunching in terms of saying what are we looking, how are we shaping this business in terms of next 2 to 3 year journey. Just now, Suman will give you a high-level perspective in terms of how we have remodeled the business and how do we look to take it forward. Suman?
Hi. Thanks, Amit. See, one of the things that you need to acknowledge across branded apparel industry, this was running on one kind of model, is that you sort of anticipate a demand basis that you sort of have a trade show model where your customers come and book, and you supply, and you hope that the sales forecasts are accurate, and that's pretty much the model that the industry has been living and growing for last 5-6 years. So one of the things that is very clear with the volatility in the economy, with more and more exposure to the of consumers to the here and now kinds of products, that estimating consumer demand and estimating consumer taste is going to be one of the key things. And apparel companies and any consumer product facing industry cannot afford to have a large lead time of product creation. So one of the bigger things that we have sorted out for ourselves is that can we shorten the reaction time of product creation. You must be familiar with that we had 2 seasons. One is spring, so the summer, and another is winter. As a starting point, we have actually said we are going to split the first season into 2 seasons, which is spring and summer, and autumn and winter. What it does is that it forces us to sort of look at the demand in tranches. It gives you a little more time to factor in the changes that is happening in the consumer space. Obviously, it is easier said than done in terms of reorganizing the supply chain, looking at how do you capture sort of demand signals, etc., etc. But this has been in operation for some time. However, with the increasing volatility in the economy, this is something that we have to do. So that is, in essence, one of the big changes. Second big changes is this entire adoption to digital. And I don't mean, when I say digital, I don't mean e-commerce alone. I mean, how do you sort of connect with consumers digitally? Amit just spoke about digital booking. Now, traditionally, we'll have all our customers coming in, sitting in one place, booking, and then we'll take a long time in collating orders and producing. How do you quickly sort of use digital medium to A, reach out to your stakeholders, B, reach out to consumers, digitally? One thing is certain, some of the habits that are getting changed during COVID are going to permanently remain changed. And getting a higher digital influence in the purchase journey is given. So therefore, we are building up strong digital assets through our brands. So in terms of summarizing for the changes, 1, changing the business model, B, adopting digital methods of reaching out to customers and consumers. Obviously, the foundation of how do you create more winning products, how do you sort of respond to changing trends, how do you sort of play for more relevant categories obviously remain, but at the backbone of it is the changing of the business model.
Okay, sir. So that was helpful, but might be not now, might be after a quarter or so when some clarity emerges. If you can just give us some of the milestones in terms of margin, in terms of what we are looking, or in terms of working capital, so that can have a more clearer picture. These are the strategic initiatives that you have taken. We appreciate that, but ultimately it should be quantifiable for us actually to make it more meaningful, sir.
Absolutely. No, we are clear about it. See, we also have to run this business. So we know we have to work with matrix KPIs, and we strongly believe in performance management. So we have a clear identified way, but at this juncture to say is not appropriate.
Yes.
Maybe in a quarter or two, you are right that we will talk about it.
Yes, sir. That is very helpful, and wish you all the best support upcoming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vaishnavi Mandhania from Anand Rathi. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for taking my question. So I have 2 questions. The first question is, so if I look at the rent that we had pre-Ind AS, right? So it's around 47 crores for a quarter, ballpark number. So on this, have we gotten 17 crores of saving for this quarter? So that means like a 35 to 40% reduction. Is that right?
Yeah. So clearly, the way this whole thing works is that you have, as per Ind AS, you have to record your rental savings or concessions which you got into the other income level. So that is what it is there totally. And the 47 crore is an incidence of the rent which you have incurred in this quarter. So overall, as I understand, we are talking close to 55 to 60 crores of a rental savings which we have targeted, and we are on top of it achieving that.
For the full year?
For the full year.
So on the 180, 190 crores, you will have around 50 crores of savings for the full year, right?
Yeah, that is what we have achieved so far. As we say, we don't hold our breath on saying just that it is done. We want to continue negotiate with the people, and as and when we get more, we will keep informing you more.
Okay, and my second question is basically on the gross margin level. Have we taken any inventory provisioning or anything like that? So, because we have a dip of around 7% or 700 bits on a year-on-year basis. So, is there any inventory provisioning that we've taken or any reason for such a gross margin decline?
No, absolutely. I think you are absolutely spot on. In terms of this, when you have, and we have done a net working capital reduction by over 300 crore, what we have done is we have got collections from our customers. And in certain cases, you had to go out and give certain cash discounts to your customers, which is a normal part of the process. And that gets netted off from your revenue line item. So that has reduced by 10 crores your revenue, and with a smaller revenue, this 10 crore makes a lot of difference in terms of the gross margin calculation. Similarly, as you rightly pointed out, there is a certain stock age-old provisioning which we do as a policy. Again, considering that because of the low numbers, whatever provisioning you do as per the normal policy, that sits in the cost of goods sold, which again, based on the smaller number, adds up. So therefore, these are the two reasons which impacts your gross margin by 7%.
Okay, fine. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kunal P., an investor. Please go ahead. Kunal, your line is unmuted. Please go ahead. Kunal, your line is in the talk mode. Please go ahead. As there's no response from the current participant, we'll move on to the next. That is from the line of Ronak Mantri, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, please.
Yes. So I wanted to know, so what are the aspirations, like when can Raymond become a debt-free company? Even the biggest company in India, which is Reliance Industries, have become debt-free. Raymond is a well-known brand. Every Indian knows it. I think we are spending too much on interest cost. But if we can sell, as you rightly told that we sold 20 acres of land for 700 crores. If we sell the remaining, we can be debt-free. So what are the aspirations when we can become a debt-free company?
No, I think it's a very good target to have, no doubt about it. But Ronak, you know and I know, can I sell in today's market 80 acre of land? How many people, I don't know, maybe I have to really count on finger, one or two I will get who would have the ability to pay 3,000 crore for this kind of a land. So look, the intent is very clear, as we have stated and demonstrated that by the sale of the land in the month of February, we have been able to reduce the debt, and very clear focus put us. If you see in our demonstration as well during the first quarter June, that we maintained our net debt level very similar to March level. We have maintained our liquidity as well, and rather improved the liquidity by end of June. So very clear focus has been in the company that we need to reduce the debt and keep the liquidity levels strong. And especially in these times, you look at it, in these times, if you have been able to maintain almost approx 10% of your revenue as liquidity, which is a very strong proposition to have. And that is what Raymond has delivered very clearly. But cash flow generation, and we are not shy away from monetization of assets. It is very, very well reflected in the history of Raymond, and I'm very new to this. I'm sure you guys may be tracking it far longer than I have. I have been told that in the year 1999, at one block, we sold off our cement business, our chemicals business, and one other synthetics business, and at that point of time, we made our company once again at that point of time, almost like a debt-free company. So I think the journey is on. We have demonstrated it, and we are very much there and committed to demonstrate it once again.
So whatever the cash flow we will be generating in the coming years, will it be used for repaying the debt? Because I think so, like 2 to 3 years ago, you had set up a linen plant in Amravati, which had costed like 250 to 300 crore, and where you were thinking of spending maybe like 500 to 1,000 crore. So is the capex cycle over and cash flow can be used for repaying the debt and making the balance sheet cleaner or thinner?
Absolutely. There's no doubt the cash flow generations from the business will go towards a debt repayment. And very clearly, if you look at it, now Amravati plant, I'll give you one simple example. You see, things have to be looked at perspective. You as a strong brand company with a significant channel of distribution available to you, why would you miss out on an opportunity of a linen production? And I'll give you, for your context, that very recently, linen yarn used to be having a duty element, but the linen fabric did not have any duty element when being imported out of China. In the last, I think a month or so back, we have heard that the Government of India has imposed a duty to the tune of $2.40 on duty per meter on the linen fabric. Overnight, that changes the economics of the company, this business. So therefore, it is very clear that the vision has been you have to grow, you have to play on their strengths, and the strength which the company has is a Raymond brand. Obviously, it helps us to grow the business. So therefore, long story short, very clearly, our focus is all the cash flow generations will be primarily used for a debt repayment.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the words of wisdom.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Siddharth Mohta from Principal India. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, thanks once again. Sir, in the last 4 to 5 years, in case of branded apparel, we have been chasing growth, and it was neither reflected in the quality of growth. It was not that great in the sense that it was neither reflected in the margin or nor in the working capital, and we ended up in a big inventory which we have written off in quarter 3 and quarter 4. Sir, so going forward, sir, we will continue to follow the same strategy, looking for the growth by compromising on the margin or working capital, or this time it will be more to do with the working capital margin and then the revenue. So what will be the hierarchy of the importance?
Yeah, so thank you, Siddharth, for the question. It's very pertinent at this point in time. What we are looking at is how do we make this business sustainable, because we have also been seeing that over the last 5 to 8 years we have been going through a roller coaster. There's been a lot of learnings, but today we are focusing on sustainable profitability of the business, and growth will be driven by sustainable profitability.
Okay, so I assume, sir, not only sustainability profit as well as the focus on the working capital, so that both the things is being taken.
That goes without saying that working capital is one of the hygiene factors of the business now.
We are very focused very clearly how to look at every business in terms of cost as well as working capital management and liquidity. Very, very clear focus, and that is very well demonstrated if you see that the company has been able to reduce the fixed cost, operating cost by 50% compared to the fourth quarter. That shows that there is a way where you can do and achieve this. Similar focus has been on the working capital. So I think the focus as an overall, as a Raymond Group, will continue to be on these core areas.
Sir, you are answering this or you are saying this particular thing because external scenario it is a bit tough, and we assume that might be in FY20 to 23 when things had become a bit normal. So we will again relax our working capital terms condition. We will again compromise on the margin. Now we have to do because the things are a bit tough. But when the things it will improve, so we will compromise on those two aspects, which today we are not compromising, whether it is cost, working capital, or on the margin.
No, I don't think so, because I would think that it is a very sweeping statement, so to speak, that one has made in terms of saying that we would go back to a situation where we would compromise. You see, you have to understand, these businesses, I'll give you a simple answer on my fabric business. A fabric inventory at our TRS store really appreciates, and the people are happy enough to keep that inventory because they know that these inventory is going to appreciate. And it is also the range. It is a fashion business. It is not a commodity business where you can manage with a very low inventory level, because you and me, if you have to go to a store to pick up a fabric, we would like to see 10, 20, 30, 50 fabrics and then make a decide whether I want to purchase or I don't want to purchase. And the likings of every individual is different. So therefore, it is very important to find a right balance between a working capital management as well as cost efficiency. So we are very clear that we have charted out a program that this is the way to move forward with a tight control on the cost as well as on the working capital management.
Okay, so that was very helpful. Sir, a couple of more questions. Sir, in case of Ethiopia, where we are ramping up our operation, so but at the same time we are making loss. So if you can just tell us the trajectory where we should be looking Ethiopia in might be 21 and 22, and similarly for UCO Denim, where again we are having a loss of like 34-35 crores. So how we should be looking about this division?
So look, as far as Ethiopia is concerned, as I mentioned to you, our clear desire is to improve the utilization of these facilities to cater to the market, especially in the Europe and North America. And we see with the kind of relationships which we have built upon. Second thing, we should also see that today there is a bit of anti-China, so to speak. I don't know how to word it properly, but there is a bit of what you call sentiment developing across the globe, where people are trying to shift some of the buys which used to be traditionally from China would shift to other countries. And obviously we are going to be one of the large beneficiaries. Very clear. No doubt about it. As far as denim is concerned, today denim, you can say it is sitting on a little bit of an excess capacity. But is it going to be the case? Answer is that whoever is an efficient player over time will continue to operate and run the business. Some of the people who are not most efficient and organized players may have to take a little bit of a consequence. So we are in that game. We know that we have built certain efficiencies and rather more efficiencies now more so. So based on this, I think we will have to wait a little bit more that demand pickup happens in the denim business, and then this business also gets corrected. And I'll give you one example. Again, the history speaks for itself, that we had the engineering business and the auto business a few years back, which was not doing well. Now we have put huge amount of effort and focus, and that has turned around itself, and it is doing phenomenally well. One of your colleagues did comment upon that this business is doing very well. So clearly, you see, businesses go through ups and downs. There are cycles. One has to go through the cycle, but does not mean that one business in 1 year or 2 years does not do well, means this is a bad business.
Okay, that was helpful. So the only thing is that do understand that yes, but whenever cycle it turns, so we should be prepared very well to make the best of those opportunities. So that is the
absolutely. No, I appreciate and I agree that we should be right there first on the row.
Thank you, sir, and thanks for answering all the questions, sir.
Thank you. Really appreciated you participating.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the last question. I now hand the conference over to the management for the closing comments.
Yeah. No, thank you very much, all of you, for taking interest in Raymond, and we look forward talking to you in the next quarter as well.